Okay, what I'm doing now with the truck camper, Maverick truck camper, is basically it is sitting on a wheeled cart now, so I can roll it around. So I can get it back over to the hoist area to put it onto the Maverick. Just inside here for the first time in a while. Nice to be able to have it inside the garage while it's snowing. As you can see, my 91 Civic wagon is up on the hoist for the winter. I'll be doing some more work to it in the spring. And basically the camper is sitting in, I'm sort of calling it the showroom position. We'll have a look inside the window because you can see the improvements I've made lately. Up here, I put some cargo netting up near the ceiling that can hold clothes or maybe other things, I don't know. I think you'd have to restrict it to about a maximum of 20 pounds, I would think. It's not really good to put a lot of weight pulling down on the Phylon fiberglass, but those are both screwed and glued in place, so they do spread the load out, and there's 4 handles holding it up. The other thing I added, to the left of the thermostat, there is a 12-volt cigarette-style lighter outlet. And it is presently powering this Bodega fridge freezer. Now, I have done an experiment where I ran the fridge freezer for about 12 hours, and it ran perfect. It used, I guess, maybe you didn't notice, but this camper has a 30 amp hour lithium ion battery in it. And over the course of 12 hours, I plugged in the charger, shut off the fridge freezer, of course. And it took 3 hours to charge the battery fully charged. It was a simple calculation I found online that told me that a 30 amp hour battery like this one will take 10 hours to charge at 3 amps, which is the charger I have. So basically, since it took 3 hours to charge, it had only used 30% of the battery to run for 12 hours. So right now I'm repeating the same experiment, only this time I'm gonna run it for 24 hours. So sometime about 6 o'clock tonight, I'll unplug it and we'll again charge the battery back up again and figure out how much it used. Now, one drawback to these, I call them cheap fridge freezers, because the first one we bought that we have in our big camper cost over $1,000. It's made by Winter, that's W-H-Y-N-T-E-R. And I believe it has a compressor that's wound so it can run off both 12 volts and 110 volts. These ones are actually strictly 12 volt fridges. There is no internal wiring to run them on 110 volts. So when you are running them off 110 volts, you have to use an adapter that basically is a small inverter, converting 110 volts DC or 110 volts AC to approximately 12 volts DC. So to run this cooler off my outside receptacle that can be also plugged into the inverter inside, basically you're using your 12 volt DC to run this inverter and then that inverter. So it's not going to be as efficient running off 110 volts, but that's an experiment. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to end when did I turn this on? I turned this on yesterday at 5:30. It's now 6 o'clock. So this has been running off this 30 amp hour battery now for 24 hours. So I'm going to shut it off. And I'll slide it out of the way. Sorry about the shakiness. This is the 12 amp hour or 30 amp hour battery. So what I'm going to do now is just plug in the charger. Anyway, you can see the charger is running now. That's what the little orange light on the light means. I'll be leaving the heater running. I'm going to turn it down a bit. Okay. Normally this cooler will not be in here, obviously. Simply isn't room for it. I just wanted to put it in here to test it. Because basically the garage is too cold. It wouldn't be any test of it all. After it ran for 12 hours, it took 3 hours for this charger to completely replenish the battery. So according to my calculations, it had used 30% of its capability. So now I'll time how long it takes to charge, and we'll be able to figure out how much of the battery we used to run the cooler for 24 hours. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Okay, so I completed the 24-hour test, and then I plugged in the charger. I ended the test at 6 o'clock p.m. last night, and plugged in the charger, and by 11 o'clock, the 30 amp hour battery was fully charged. I gotta say, I'm very impressed by the small 30 amp hour lithium iron battery. So it only used 50%, according to my calculations, of the power left in the battery. So theoretically, it could probably run for 48 hours without charging, which I find quite amazing, but I guess these coolers don't draw a lot of energy. At any rate, I wanted to show one drawback for my use. You can see all the vents are at the rear and the side, but they're also on both sides of the cooler. So when I have it in the camper in the travel mode, there really won't be a lot of room for air to get around it. So I don't know if I'll be using this cooler in the camper. I probably will. I'll be able to figure out a way to make sure that I leave some space. Maybe I'll have to put some small spacers to stop things from blocking the cooling entries. Anyway, I don't have it plugged in. This is the control panel. You can also control it through Wi-Fi or maybe Bluetooth. Yeah, Bluetooth, I think. But it's a nice cooler. It's a good size. It only has the single door. The more expensive ones have two individual doors, but it does have two compartments, a small one and a large one. And they can be both set at as fridges or freezers. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to the people who have subscribed, and have a good day.